Hello and welcome to this episode of the Keeping Her Keys podcast. Today I am sharing two recordings from a recent class that we had in Covina. So every Saturday we do what we call the Witch's Hour of Power. We get together, we do a meditation, we do a little ritual, and then we read our cards, and we always have a special topic. So it's all about exploring our daily sacred practice, however that looks for us. So I'm sharing the meditation we did this past Saturday, along with the discussion that we had about what we call the Pyriboulos Council. So both of these little recordings that I'm sharing light up. Hecate is the torchbearer. Lampadios is the name of the chapter in Entering Hecate's Cave, if you want to follow along in your book. And if you're in Covina, of course, we are celebrating the month of Lampadios, Hecate as the torchbearer. The meditation takes us into that sacred fire of Hecate to ignite and nourish our own three cells. And the discussion on the Pyriboulos Council is all about establishing our own personal interior committee of spirits and allies and working with them. This was a profound discussion about healing the mother wound, working with different types of spirits. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. As always, if you are interested in joining Covina or finding out more about my books, head on over to keepingherkeys.com. Hello, and welcome to this meditation. So, we are focusing on Hecate's torches, that dual symbolism that signifies both the creation, the nourishment, the ignition, the getting going, all of the things that we might want to move towards and manifest in our lives, and also the destruction, the destroyer. Like, what are we letting go of? What needs to be burned down, burned away? And Hecate's torches, in a historical sense, were really connected to her ability to serve as the soul guide, right? Like the torches signified not merely that she was associated with the afterlife, but also that she had this role where she could convey us towards the afterlife. So when we are thinking about how do we connect to this divine eminence of Hecate, these blazing torches that are primordial, personal, have so many meanings to us, and they are so symbolic for our journey, like our own journey through this crooked path of ours. How do we connect with those? So I'm going to be leading us through the meditation where we attune our three cells with that sacred fire. So if you want to get comfortable and just close your eyes, uncross your energies if you can. I've got my legs crossed, so uncross mine. Get yourself situated as best you can. And let's just begin with the breath. The breath, in many ways, it's like our internal fire, right? The breath is that spark that gives us life. It stays with us throughout our whole lives. So just notice here, as you're just breathing, notice anything that's coming up for you in your body, any aches or pains, any places that feel good. And just acknowledge the body and its service to us, all it does for us. And I'd like to start my daily practice with an acknowledgement of the spirits of place. So, however that looks for you, if it's First Nations or Indigenous peoples that traditionally inhabited the land that you call home, ancestors of place, spiritual ancestors, biological ancestors, all the spirits who are responsible for us being here today, whether it was by living on the land or long ago priestesses of Hecate, all of the shoulders upon which we stand. I always like to start with an acknowledgement of that. Now let's just go deeper into our breath. So let's take our breath down, down, using the breath to take up lots of space, seeing the breath go all the way down to this spiritual center inside your sitting bones. This is the root. And if you can, like, take that breath to push into that area. And as you let the breath go, that expands, the root expands, and your roots unfurl. So if you're feeling, if you have been feeling less than grounded, bringing in a sense of groundedness here, your roots extend down into the depths, really tethering you and balancing you, giving you that connection to the natural rhythm, the natural order, that earthiness. And now let's connect our heart into our meditation. So the heart, of course, is that intersection between our interior selves and the outside world. We often say this is where, love and relationships abides because they are interactional. So let's just use the breath to open up our heart while also acknowledging our very strong backs. We are open and we are strong. We are connected and resilient in the ways we go about in the world, in our relationships and so on. And the heart joins with the root, bringing that into balance and harmony here. And now finally, let's activate the crown, the higher self, which of course stretches from our everyday minds up until our most mystical, ascended aspects, the unborn self, and so on. And this is really good to, not just do a grounding and a connecting, but also to bring an alignment to the higher self so that even when we are going about our daily affairs, that there is that wisdom available to us that keeps us in that right alignment with like our purpose, with what the best choices are here. So let's bring in awareness here. And you can extend the branches of your crown up to the stars above, connecting to your personal astrology and celestial wisdom and so on. So the crown and the heart and the root are flowing in attunement, and this gives that state of inner harmony that whatever the day rises up to bring us, that we are approaching it from this place where we are connected with our intuition and emotions. We are open yet resilient, and we are seeing our thoughts and experiences from this deeper vision, which is to say, we see ourselves as having thoughts, not our thoughts having us. So this is where we go with this meditation. And since we are connecting to Hecate's primordial fire, Just see how this is lighting up for you. Pulling and connecting to the star, the celestial energy. Stars and planets, of course, are very fiery. There is that kind of fire. So that may be what's lighting up for you right now, is that crown, fire of purity and thought and crystal clear vision. What is lighting up for you with that kind of celestial fire? Or it can be a fire of the heart, the kind of fire where you are forging new ways of being in the world. Or maybe it is your time to kind of burn the bridges of the past. Or maybe right now you have that fire in the belly, that your intuition is really speaking to you and you are getting that sense of a calling and so on. And then when all three are kind of lit up with this sacred fire, there is that sense of right alignment and purpose and magic and mystery. So however these torches of Hecate are showing for you, just spend some time here. And now when you're ready, just open your eyes and allow the crown, heart, and root to relax. But stay in this state of alignment so that you are dialed in and you are operating from this position of bringing your everyday self into alignment with, what is real and true and beautiful, and that connection to Hecate and your spirits. As always, I encourage you to jot down some notes, stay in this energy for as long as you want. And I thank you for trusting me to lead you through that meditation. So we are here today to discuss one of our foundational practices, projects in Covina that I think is such an excellent example of the way we weave together witchcraft, the spirits, rituals with personal healing practices. The background for the Pyriboulos Council, it goes back quite a few years, like more than 6 or 7 years. And I remember when I was working, like I was just getting started with teaching classes about Hecate and witchcraft, and I came across this epithet of Hecate called Pyriboulos, which means of fiery council. And that really lit up for me. Sometimes if like you're familiar with me, sometimes epithets will just kind of like catch on fire for me. And I thought of fiery council, and the way it was translated meant like a basically fiery advice, right? Fiery advice. But because a lot of the epithets were translated during the Victorian era, we get these kind of old-timey expressions, of fiery council. Like we would never say that about somebody today, right? Like we would translate it as great advice or trusted mediator or counselor, wise counselor. Like that's how we don't use the word counsel to mean someone who gives good advice, because like in modern times, it really means a lawyer. Sometimes you'll hear that term for a lawyer. But then I got to thinking like about the other definitions of council, which is like a committee. And it just kind of led from there that we started in a course I used to teach called Lampadios, which means Hecate as the torchbearer. We got started, I remember really clearly, we just had like a piece of paper and we were just talking about, and I was drawing by hand on it, like who might be inside our own Pyriboulos Council, who were our wise and trusted advisors, whether they were spirits or living people maybe they were celebrities, whoever it was. It could be an aspect or an epithet of Hecate. It could be aspects of our own astrology. This is really wide reaching. So the exercise has always kind of been like this. And then, it's a way to connect to your spirits too, and perhaps even like welcome in new spirit guides, and certainly will change your perspective on the nature of relationship with spirit, I would say. So for me, my Pyriboulos Council over the years has evolved, and different aspects of Hecate or Hecate in general showing up with different moods is certainly part of it. But I would say for me, moreover, over the years, it's been Medea and Circe in terms of goddesses or the expressions of the divine feminine, who are like permanent residents on my interior council. And then I have some personal spirit guides that come and go. So, and then I think my Pyriboulos Council is really in the heart of a shift right now. So it kind of feels like a lot of the former me's that used to sit at the table, like they have been retired. I don't know where they've gone. Maybe they've gone to a Greek isle to live out their days. Like I feel like the need for my Pyriboulos Council to be so big as it used to, like it used to be quite big. Now it's like we got Circe, Medea, maybe Uncle Lucky, and maybe Millie, but it's a smaller council. There's a lot of they were offered a retirement package. I don't know. Nicole, I know you've been working with yours for years. Do you want to give us some tips and some insights into yours?
Yeah. This was really a big key for my own personal healing, was developing this council of past selves, but then also, pulling in goddesses and aspects of Hecate. And for a while, it was really hard for me to put on like a living person. I don't know why. It just felt kind of weird. But in the last couple of years, I've expanded that. And now my best friend is on there because she's always giving me great advice. And this year, I opened it up to an artist that I'm really inspired by. He's super goofy and fun and just... So his name's Gary Baseman, and it's very interesting to put a real person on my councils, like someone I don't know, but I'm very inspired by him. And and I'm even taking like he's got one of those pre-recorded art classes. So I'm kind of following this thread, and it was just really interesting to finally open up my council to people and people I don't know, but that's been really healing for my my artistic side.
So, I mean, you raised a lot of good points there that I think it's important for us to let people know if they're just getting started with this idea of a personal council of spirits, that, there is an imaginal aspect to this. So it's perfectly legitimate to have like our best friends or our partners as part of our council, because this is something we often get asked about, right? Every year when we're doing this project. Like, we are not capturing them. It is not like some kind of sympathetic magic where we are locking them up to be on our council. This is an imaginal type of magic where how we experience them is the spirit that is on our council. So I think that's a really important distinction between imaginal magic and some kind of sympathetic magic where we might be seen as like trapping or directly harnessing some aspect of them. This is not that at all. We don't generally do that in the work that I teach and practice. So the imaginal magic of being able to, like you said, add your best friend, and your best friend well. So you can go into that imaginal zone when she's not or they aren't available and say, well, I need to have a conversation with them. I can't talk to them right now, so I can have them on my council and I can let that conversation play out. And it's really quite beautiful. And also, like you said, doing it with public figures that really inspire us, knowing again that this is an imaginal exercise. So you're dialing into how that artist that you're connecting with, how they are presenting themselves as a public figure. And so it's almost like there is that spirit being presented as a public figure. It's not, it's not connected to the whole person behind it. And then that's what you're using imaginal magic to connect to. So there's no one's free will or anything is interfered with in the way that we do this. Alyssa, we haven't heard from you.
Yeah, the imaginal aspect is really important to me with like, I think the way you wrote about it in the chapter in Hecate's cave, I think that was where I read this, where you were talking about like, who are we removing from our Pyriboulos Council, first of all, has been really important for me and for my personal healing in terms of like, I see my Pyriboulos Council as kind of an opportunity to like switch out the plugs and like, what voices have I been listening to? Like, who have I been taking advice from? Or like, what voices, have I heard, in my head, whether that's, family members who maybe my values don't align with and things like that. And switching them out with like, okay, like maybe my mom isn't the best person to go to for nurturing. Like, let's put, Demeter in there. Like, that's how I approach mine, is this opportunity to like choose spirits or people or actors or things that I see that like fit more with my values and what I actually need and never got from certain people as like a support system.
I really like that, really practical. Like, so I talked more about the mystical kind of aspects of it. Nicole brought it into the imaginal realm, and you're kind of bringing it right into the practical realm, where it's like these are about your everyday relationships and who is going to be on your personal interior council, like in terms of people in your life that you can trust. And then, like you said, like there's an elimination procedure. And then when you create space, it's like you create seats on the council.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, like you're working with Demeter and so on. I'd like to hear a little bit more about how Demeter is helping you heal this mother wound.
Well, it's been interesting lately. So I've been, for almost 2 years, I've been no contact with my mother, but I've actually started to talk to her again. And it's been interesting knowing that like, sorry, trying to find like the words, is like, I don't see her like emotionally as a mother. And so it's like when I want those aspects, like I sit down with like Demeter and like light a candle for Demeter and like go to Demeter for advice. And like Diane is just kind of another person that I talk to, and it's nice to have that relationship back in a way. But like when I'm like wanting to connect with like mother, I go to Demeter. I don't know if that's what you were asking.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Because I think that's so helpful. Like what you're doing is so inspirational, that like you're not, most of us are not ever going to get what it is we need from our mothers. Like, let's be clear. It's, and the way you are getting into like this spiritual aspect of connecting to Demeter as like the mother, the loving, attentive, caring, nurturing, ride or die mother energy, and allowing her to speak through you, and how that's not only healing yourself internally, but it's allowing you to cope better with your literal mother.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important.
It's been interesting too, where it's like it almost feels like the roles have been reversed, and not like in that unhealthy like parentified child way. But like when I talk to her, it's like I feel older than her. Like I feel like the more emotionally mature, and like there's been a couple things where it's like I know there's something that maybe she needs to hear. I've been able to like say that to her. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I feel
really
like
powerful. Like, did everybody catch what Alyssa just said? Like that she's now able, like you can be loving towards your mother.
Mm-hmm. Instead of resentful. I don't know.
That's so powerful. So that is a very powerful outcome for working with a spirit who's part of your Pyriboulos Council. And I have to say, like, Demeter is phenomenal for that. because she does really represent that, like that wise, caring mother, perhaps a bit overbearing at times. But you know she's on your side. And if that is our issue, that we never knew that our mother was on our side, you know, she can be so powerful for that. So thank you so much for that. So there is a very small section in the book, but we do, in Covina, we go into this inner council every year at this time during the month of Lampadio. So if the Hecate's Cave book is what you have, that's on page 90. And if you're in Covina, we have lots of resources on the Pyriboulos Council. Okay, Julia, where are you at with yours?
So it switches up. I like to switch it up with what I need, or like what kind of guidance I need or inspiration. So I'll have people, living people, spirits. Artemis is a new one for me in there. Demeter and Circe is usually there, but Artemis has been added in. And but I'm really enjoying lately having, whether it's nature spirits like botanicals or animals, and things like mountains or the ocean, even the planets. I'm really into that right now because I feel like that's slow advice, if that makes sense. It's not something that's instant. Here you go. Here, this is what you need to do. You really need to like dissect it, sit down with it, be patient. It's like kind of living in that chronosphere in a way, you know. It's just,
I love that word.
yeah, a new word.
That's a great word, chronosphere. Where you heard Julia make it up. So Chronos, like Saturn, king of the planets or whatever, but also like Father Time, right? Like, so I love it. Chronosphere.
It's our new Covina word.
It's a new Covina word. I guess it's, yeah. I really like how you're bringing in like plants and the planets and animals, because we haven't landed on them yet. So as spirits, they can certainly be members of your Pyriboulos Council too. Like Mugwort is certainly a member of my Pyriboulos Council. Rose and Bear has been recently very important to me. So places, I think we haven't got to places yet. So maybe we can talk about places in a few minutes. So when you say like plants and planets, like how do you interact with them? Like, do you talk to the plants? I talk to plants and planets and they talk back. Like, let's just be clear. But I'm just curious, Julia, about how you interact with the plants and the planets.
So I always have dialogue in my head. but yeah, when things get complicated and I really need to process what's going on in my life, I will sit with the Pyriboulos Council. I'm like, who wants to come forward? And sometimes it'll be a planet. Sometimes it'll be bramble. Sometimes it'll be moss. And I sit with that for like a good week, sometimes 2 weeks. I'm like, what does this medicine have to offer? What is this knowledge? And I'll research on it. And sometimes it is place. Sometimes it is like a trail that I love to walk, and I'll go there and just spend time. Like, what do I need to know? And what I think I love about this is it forces you to tap into all your senses. It's not just information. It's like feeling things. It's smelling things. It's everything, tactile. It's, mental. I just love it. I'm really getting into the layers of things, like sensory input from different areas, and what do I need from that, and what's the information I can get. So I'm just really into slow, like figuring out and then sensing things. It's been really helpful for me.
It's like the slow burn. Like, spirits don't have to like light up and be supercharged all the time. I mean, just knowing like all of us here, like, sometimes these things are really quick and sudden, but more often it's like they work on us over weeks and months. And it's if we incorporate them into our daily practice, so maybe we're connecting with Mugwort, or maybe dialoguing with Demeter, or talking to Circe and Medea, or whatever, whatever it is we're doing as part of our daily sacred practice, like it is like an ongoing creative imaginal process, right? Like this is not, I don't like a Pyriboulos, it's something that's never done. It's like our relationships, in the more mundane sense, like they're evolving and changing, and some end and some begin, and some are important and some are less important. Like it's just the same, but it's either with imaginal aspects of living people or spirits themselves, plants, goddesses, and so on. So
I also think that it's really good at helping you pick up patterns and signs. Mean like you start to pay attention to your daily life and then pick up on the messages. But yeah,
it's really beautiful. Okay, Kristen, so we haven't talked about places as part of our trusted council of allies, or cards, like tarot cards or oracle cards. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
So I can talk about places,
Okay.
I guess. There are in some circumstances where I kind of see places as spirits. For example, there's a place where I grew up, like a family camp that is sort of very ingrained in who I am. And it is when I need a certain level of comfort, or I need, like to be in a certain state of mind, like I will sort of go inward and carry myself to this place. And it's a really great comfort for me, and also like I have a special place where I do my Didnon offering. That is the same, and like this is the place that I carry within myself and I visit like internally when I need to be there. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It's so beautiful. I think I do that too with certain places. Like I certainly have in the past. I'm just thinking about like up the shore, like where I go hiking, like that when I climb up on top of what I call Hecate's rock, that big rock that's hundreds of meters up. Like sometimes if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really trapped and cornered and confined, like I can't get out of the house and maybe something is really unsettling me, like just psychically go to that place where I feel so wild and free and at peace and balanced. Right? I think, is that what you're getting at with?
Yes. And it doesn't even have to be like very specific places, like the woods in general, is a place for me to go sort of like revisit that wildness and disconnect and get in the thick of it. And also I'm having a thing with mountains right now too. I keep a little mountain ring on my finger. And I just really love the idea of, if you've ever driven through the mountains, you can see these little houses at the base. And I love this idea of like being held by something like steady and ancient and like primordial sort of, I don't want to say support, but I don't know, just being held by the greatness and beauty of like life.
Right, of the natural world, that there is a system, there is an order.
Yes.
And the mountain is so evocative of that for me. That this is stability. This is something that's going to endure.
So like if I want to sink into that, say like if I'm going to sleep and I really need to ground myself and I want to feel that security, like I'll just sort of imagine myself at that little house at the base of the mountain, and it's so comforting to me. And that, I carry that with me too.
That's so beautiful. I know like the ocean as a member of the Pyriboulos Council is another one I think we all can connect with. Nicole, you live in the mountains, but also a little bit of desert near you. Like, have you ever worked with the desert as a spirit?
Not the desert. We kind of are on the start of the plains, so it gets really flat, and it's kind of, but I do work with it because it's the first time I've lived somewhere where there's seasons. So I kind of work with it seasonal, and I really connect to the land as it goes through the changes. And I kind of change with it, if that makes sense. I mean, we do that in Covina. Like right now, everything is golden in the field behind me, and I'm working with that color and just really connecting to it. Yeah. And in the springtime when everything's growing, I feel like that's when I grow too. So does that make sense? I feel like I'm connected to the cycle.
I love that you brought in like the wheel of the year and the seasons, because that's certainly like can be part of your Pyriboulos Council. Like, for example, let it be known that I will never overly enjoy summer. There are aspects of summer I like about it, but it's like I love autumn and winter. So sometimes if you're like in the thick of a season that is not your favorite, you can connect to the spirit and the guidance and the wisdom of a spirit, like a season that is more aligned with you naturally. There's lots of different ways to do it. So we didn't cover cards yet. So certainly cards that are Princess of Wands, cards that are what's known as the court cards. So the princess, prince, king, and queen, and also cards in the major arcana that represent people are really great, potentially as members of the Pyriboulos Council. You might have a personal power card and so on that you add. We've got the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck that has different cells on it that we highly recommend. That's by Kim Kranz and other decks that we work with. So if you have cards that really I keep drawing the Hierophant or the High Priest, like for 3 weeks now, honestly, like it's like he's moved in. I mean, he's going to need to get like, I don't know. We'll have to get him a bed or something because he doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I drew him again last night in my bedtime reading. I was like, honestly, take you out of the deck. That's what we're going to do with you. So that to me is kind of like at least a transitional member of my Pyriboulos Council. And so I'm really in my personal practice, like contemplating what the Hierophant or the High Priest means for me. So this has been a little bit of an introduction to working with your Pyriboulos Council. We do this every autumn or early autumn in Covina during the month of Lampadios, but it's an ongoing project. I think you can tell the way we talked about ours that it's kind of like a permanent part of our spiritual practice. I hope you are inspired to create your own Pyriboulos Council and just start with a sheet like we did all those years ago and list the people and the spirits who are important to you and who light up for you and who make you light up, and go from there. It's just a great exercise to add to your practice.